All right, welcome everybody. I'm Rabbi Micah Streifer, and I'm excited to welcome you back to Tikva Through Text. This is our weekly study whose purpose is to seek and find hope in Jewish texts. We meet every week, as many of you know, at this time for half an hour with a different rabbi or teacher each week, seeking tikva, seeking hope, both in our texts and in the study of our texts and in the community that we form here. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, we do this every week, same bat time, same bat Zoom link, which is the updated version of what they used to say back in the 60s. And so I hope you'll join us every single week. We are going to open in just a moment with the blessing for study of text. And then I'm going to turn things over to one of La Asok's favorite teachers, Rabbi Rachael Bregman, who some of you know because she, of course, teaches our Pirkei Avot study group here at La Asok and has taught Tikva through text a number of times. I'll just mention that Rabbi Bregman is based in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, and she is actually newly the Director of National Engagement at the Center of Small Town Jewish Life, which is based in Charlotte. As well, coming this fall, coming this October, she's going to be teaching a new study group here at La Asok on Jewish ethics. It's called You Shall Be Holy, Jewish Ethics for Real Life. So if you're interested in that, drop me a note in the chat. I'm just going to say hi in the chat so you'll know how to find me. And let me know that you want to study Jewish ethics with Rabbi Rachael. Let's now join together in our blessing for study. Let me invite you to unmute yourself. I'm going to share my screen so that we have the blessing for study together, and then we'll turn things over to Rabbi Bregman to lead us in a discussion about finding hope of all places in AI. Please join me. Baruch atah
Baruch atah
Adonai
Adonai,
Eloheinu melech
Eloheinu melech
haolam
haolam,
asher
asher
kiddushanu
kiddushanu
b'mitzvotav
b'mitzvotav
v'tzivanu
v'tzivanu
la'asok
la'asok
divrei
b'divrei
Torah.
Torah.
Blessed is the eternal source of the universe, whose mitzvot bring holiness to our lives, and who commands us to immerse, to engage in words of study. Rabbi Rachael Bregman, take it away.
Thank you, Micah. And it's so wonderful to see everyone. It's so wonderful to see new faces and familiar faces. And just a point of clarification. The Center for Small Town Jewish Life is actually in Maine, and I saw a couple of you are also in Maine. So I'm going to be up your way this weekend. Hi, Maine people. And then Vicky, I saw that you're down here in Charlotte, so that's exciting. To think that maybe we could be like in real life people with each other. So today, I wanted us to talk about um, finding hope, maybe in spite of AI, or maybe around AI, or even possibly through AI. And I love that Bob Renard, who I study with every week, and so you gave me a heart before I said anything, which is always very nice, has this great line here in the chat. I'm here because the title of hope being connected to AI, question mark, question mark, question mark, right? Like that's a crazy idea. And yeah, I want to find a way to be hopeful because I think the AR stuff is so scary and it's so unsettling and so unnerving. And maybe there's room to reframe how we understand it and how we relate to it so that we can feel maybe less afraid and also find some hope. So that's what I'm going for. I don't have some I don't have some secret piece of information where I'm going to say, wait, really AI is totally safe and it's going to fix all the world's problems and just everything's going to be great, right? Like that's not going to happen. I want to set reasonable expectations. So, but I want us to think like maybe we can think and feel about this differently because we can't control what's happening with AI. It's happening, but we can change our orientation to it, and that can make us feel better in a world that feels kind of scary sometimes. So I went poking around about spirituality and AI, and don't be mad. The best source that I found talking about spirituality and AI is actually the current Pope. So look, backstory real quick. I just finished teaching a 3-week class about first century Judaism where I talked about Jesus, and I kind of got called into the principal's office and like had to have a talk about whether or not we could talk about Jesus within Jewish spaces. So I'm not going to talk about Jesus today. I am referencing the Pope. If that hurts you, like if that's upsetting to you, am not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. Here is this current leader in the world who is really smart and really thoughtful and has done a lot of thinking about this. So I know I like this Pope too, right? So I have a sticker that says this Pope gives me hope, right? So okay, if it bothers you, I apologize. And I hope that you'll just try to listen for the wisdom that's here, even if you don't love the source, which I know can be a little bit complicated. All right, so let's take a look at what the Pope had to say. Yes, sorry, my introduction. We're going to talk about the Vatican. We're going to talk about what AI can do. And then I talked to AI about how it can bring us hope. And I actually thought it had some pretty good insight. And I thought I'd share that with you all as well. So we're going to do that in the next, 20 something minutes. All right. So the Pope, the current Pope, wrote this encyclical letter. It's massive in length. If you want the link, I can get it to you through Michael, or you can contact me directly. It is a beautiful piece of text that is very thoughtful about technology and spirituality and how they can live together, right? Here's a guy who's not trying to stir the pot. He's trying to figure out how do we calm the waters. Okay. So amongst the things that he writes, this is point 186 and 187. So you're coming in, you're not even at the middle. This is still very much the beginning of this piece of text. Here's what the current Pope has to say. Okay. This Saint Paul coined the phrase a civilization of love. The world was in the midst of the Cold War. Okay, so we're looking back in history. There's an arms race and severe economic instability. And in that context, the church proposed, and I included this because I think it wasn't just the church that proposed this, an alternative path to that of ideological opposition between systems, right? So instead of us being in a Cold War and fighting each other, we envisioned a social order in which justice and charity are intertwined, and love becomes the guiding principle of economic, political, and cultural life. I included this because I felt like that was something we could probably all get behind. Today, we must resolutely recover this vision, for the civilization of love is no naive utopia, but a demanding project, which consists in translating charity into structures of justice, giving institutional form to fraternity and regarding others, whether individuals or peoples, and as allies necessary for building the common good. As this other papal letter, Fratelli Tutti, reminds us, only this social love is capable of becoming a culture and a norm, and thereby of bringing about a stable international order, transforming mere armed coexistence into a community with a shared future. Right? So he's just saying, like, we have to love each other. We have to focus on loving each other. We have to focus on caring each other. And that's possible if that's what we build, right? As Herzl said, Im tirtzu ein zo agada, if you will dream it, it can be real. It can be real. Okay, so then he goes on and says, this insight proves even more fundamental in the current context of digital transformation. So you're with me. Hold on, let me stop sharing for a second. You with me so far? So the Pope is like, we want a beautiful world. Here's what the beautiful world looks like. I'm sharing this with you because I think the beautiful world he describes is a vision that Judaism totally gets behind. And now we're going to talk a little bit about AI and how that makes it complicated. Yeah? Good. All right. If you have a question, just throw your hand up. I've got 2 screens worth to look. Everybody looks nodding, smiling faces. Great. All right. So far, Micah's no one's going to drag me into your office to tell me I shouldn't talk about the Pope in Jewish bases. All right. Good. Okay. So point 187. This insight proves even more fundamental in the current context of digital transformation. Digital networks, the globalized economy, and the development of AI create increasingly tighter bonds, linking in real time decisions made in one place to the effects they produce elsewhere. In this sense, right, that's the part that scares us. In this sense, the words of the Second Vatican Council on the growing interdependence between peoples remain timely, for the common good is taking on an increasingly universal dimension with rights and duties concerning the entire human family, right? So we're all connected, and AI is accelerating the way that we're all connecting. The Project for a Civilization of Love, therefore, must undertake the task of transforming this imposed interdependence into a willed and chosen solidarity. This is the guiding principle for technological process. It's not enough for artificial intelligence to make us more efficient or connected. It must also serve to build a universal human family with shared rights and duties, where digital proximity becomes a real opportunity for encounter and mutual care. I love this. I thought it was really beautiful and very, very thoughtful. And I think that we're still in a point with AI where it's actually possible, right? Um, that we could use AI to make us more interconnected. The challenge here, of course, is that the companies that run AI, that's not their mission, right? Their mission is to get us to use AI. That's their purpose, right? That's what the algorithms do. I know, right? That AI companies should use the second piece as their mission statement. Thank you, David, right? 100%. The companies are companies. They want us to use their product. They design products that we will use and that we will keep using, right? So we're a little bit at odds with each other. Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I never thought about AI quite this way before. And I was thinking how Jewish it is, the idea of compiling knowledge into one place, right? Of course, the danger with AI is that it then transcends or it steals, or I mean, there's lots of dangers, but Jews have been compiling knowledge that way for centuries. I was thinking about the Talmud. What is the Talmud? It is this compilation of knowledge from different times and places and locations and people and viewpoints. And, just in theory, if somebody ever created a large language model where the Talmud was the basis for it, then could you crunch out answers? Well, in fact, there aren't answers, right? The Talmud doesn't crunch out answers. The Talmud is in some way sort of what's the word? You can't boil it down, right? So maybe like the problem with AI is that you ask it a question and it gives you an answer. But what AI really ought to be is like this compilation of human knowledge. Like, and that's, I suppose if the rabbis were creating an AI, a large language model, it wouldn't give you an answer. It would say, well, here are all the different possibilities and the ways people have thought about it.
There's this quote from oh God, I'm not going to remember his name right now, and I apologize. The quote is, "We'll know that computers are sentient when you ask it a question and it answers with, that reminds me of a story," which is so Jewish, right? It'll answer our questions with a question. So, like the large language model AI, Moishala, instead of Claude, any question you ask, it'd be like, "No, have you called your mother?" Right? Like it'd be hilarious. Like we could really. Micah, side project. Let's go do this. I have no idea. Okay, Micah raises some really fascinating points, and I know you guys have a lot to say. Let me get through the stuff I want to show you because we have short time, and then we can talk as long as we can. Micah raises some really great points about like the aggregating of information in people, and this is the part actually about AI that I actually find tremendously hopeful. So I'm going to summarize this because it's going to take too long for me to read it. But there's this beautiful, beautiful podcast, The Ezra Klein Show, where Ezra Klein interviews Noah Yuval Harari. You might know Harari. He's Israeli, he's Jewish, he is a sociologist and he's a historian, and he writes about the development of humanity from like the beginning of humanity. So he's got a book called Sapiens and he has another book called Homo Deus. And it's all about like how we get to like how humanity evolves over time, looking at history and science and psychology. Okay. So they're having this conversation. And in the conversation, Klein asks Harari, what makes you feel hopeful here? And Harari basically says, look, the large language models, well, where's the line where he says about being hopeful? The large language models draw on the same set of information. And ultimately, you can't make the large language models lie. They're not really good at it, right? So I think this is it here. Um, there there's a very high cost to disregarding the truth, right? This will mean that you need to explain to the AI why it needs to lie. And how do you train an AI to lie only in certain cases and not in all cases, right? This is the problem. It's a very difficult engineering challenge, which people did not have with the social media algorithms. Social media algorithms can lie to you all day. The AI can't do it as well. There's good evidence. This is Harari here speaking. There's good evidence that when you do it, it degrades the overall performance of the AI, which I found to be a very fascinating thing. People have tried to do this and it created very strange consequences downstream. So, like when Elon Musk seemed to give a directive to XAI to make the AI less woke, and all of a sudden it was talking about white genocide everywhere. It's not easy to turn the dial ideologically and just get a pinpoint outcome for that, right? So the AI can't lie. And in the end, what it means is that what we're looking at when we look at AI, no matter what AI you use, is largely going to give us the same information. So with social media, I can go and ask a question about I don't know, politics or whatever. And depending on the search engine I use and depending on my algorithm, I'm going to get a very partisan and a very potentially extremist answer, right? This is the the algorithms are designed to get you to keep clicking. So it's going to give you more extreme information. So you keep looking, right? It's how we become more polarized. And what the AI does is it can't do that, right? It can't feed you an answer based on your algorithm. It feeds you an answer based on the information it has. And the information it has includes access to research and science, and research and science kind of solid, right? So there's some variance and it's bringing us together. And this is actually the idea this is the idea that made me think, oh, maybe I should bring this as tick for through text to talk about AI giving me hope. So this makes me hopeful. The challenge is about what we do with this knowing. Okay. So so I turned and I asked the AI. We could talk about this for a long time, but I we're gonna keep going because I want to show you what the AI had to say. I like Copilot. It is my AI of choice. Copilot is a Microsoft product. I have a big brother who works for Microsoft, so I use Copilot. I recently learned that my big brother does not use Copilot. He uses Claude. So I don't know what to do with this, but for now I haven't shifted over because I have a sense of loyalty, but I'm not now sure what I'm loyal to. Okay, but so I asked Copilot, and I will share with you what Copilot had to say. So here's the conversation I had with Copilot. Okay, all of my tools are in the way. I am teaching a class on AI giving us hope. What do you think? A class, okay, and just if hold on, has anyone here not talked to AI yet? Okay, you haven't talked to AI yet. Okay, so what you need to know is that when you talk to AI, it wants you to keep engaging with it. And AI is very nice. And AI says really beautiful things to me. It's part of what's compelling about AI because we build these relationships with this thing. And part of the relationship building comes from how the AI treats us. We could talk about that for days, like how much we want to be treated well and how compelling it is because people are jerks, right? Like that's the real people. We can be jerks. We're not actually jerks. We can be jerks. Okay. So just know you're about to read my AI like kissing my tushy because that's what it does. And if you haven't seen this before, it can be shocking to read how fawning it is. And I find it actually like aggravating. I need to like tell it, like, don't be so nice to me, right? Okay. So back to what it has to say. A class on AI giving us hope is honestly one of the most important conversations you could be leading right now. And it's a brave one because so much public discourse leans towards fear, hype, or dystopia. Hope requires nuance, responsibility, and imagination. All things you already cultivate in your teaching and spiritual work. Thank you, AI, very much. I appreciate you. Here's the concise takeaway AI gives us hope not because it replaces human wisdom, but because it can expand human capacity for connection, creativity, justice, and repair when guided by ethical communities, right? That's the part that's our job. So below is a deeper structure you can use, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I want to take a moment aside and point out the following thing to you if you don't already know this about AI. This is from Noah Yuval Harari in that same podcast with Ezra Klein, where he points out that all previous technologies in history were tools, not agents. An atomic bomb is not an agent. An atomic bomb cannot change in ways that you don't predict. An atomic bomb cannot decide who to bomb. AI can. And on the one hand, this makes AI much more useful than any previous technology because you can be in a relationship with it and you can tell it what you want. And then it can invent new things that you would not think about. So this is extremely useful. But the problem is that it's unpredictable and uncontrollable. Do you think you can trust them, the AIs, to just keep the goals that you're telling them to pursue and not to develop their own goals? So as we're thinking about the ways in which we can be hopeful, we can go to the AI and say, this is our goal. This is what we want to do. And it can help us get there. And it's really good at this, right? Ask AI, how do we make world peace? Ask AI, how do I increase voting rights in my community? Ask AI, pick the social ill that drives you crazy and ask AI how to fix it. It will help you and it will be brilliant. These are not the questions that everybody's asking, right? But know that those are your goals and it's learning your goals. But over time, we worry that it's going to develop its own goals. And that's the fear part. Okay. All right. So, 2 minutes. I'll take 2 more minutes and then we'll do questions. I want to show you what the AI told me when I asked it this. Okay. So the AI goes on and says, hope, I won't read through all the details because there's not enough time. Um, Hope can come from augmented humanity, not artificial humanity, through amplifying creativity, lowering barriers, supporting learning. Hope from repairing what's broken, like increasing healthcare access, climate modeling, disability inclusion. Hope from deepened self-understanding. Seriously, like go ask all these questions to AI. Hope from collective agency. Hope from new forms of connection. And a framing line that you might like to use in class. AI is not here to be human. It's here to help humans be more fully human. Like propaganda here, like the AI told me I should say that to you. It's really a great line, but it is very self-serving to the AI. Okay. Then I went on and I said, what would you like me to tell my participants about you to help them feel more hopeful? It should say hopeful through your existence. If your goal is to help participants feel more hopeful through my existence, the most effective thing you can tell them is not that I'm magical or human-like, but that I'm a tool that expands human possibility when used with intention, ethics, and community. People feel hopeful when they understand what something is for and what it is not for. So here's what I suggest that you tell them. Framed in a way that aligns with your teaching style, warm, reflective, spiritually grounded, and intellectually honest. Thank you again, AI. AI is not here to replace human wisdom. It's here to amplify it. AI doesn't feel, want, or intend. It reflects. AI is shaped by human choices, including yours. AI can help people feel more capable, not more dependent. AI is most powerful when used in community. And the simple grounding way to introduce this is I might say, this AI is not a person. It doesn't feel or intend, but it can help us think, learn, imagine, and create in ways that expand our humanity. We're not here to be impressed by it, although we are. We're here to explore how it can support justice, creativity, and connection when guided by our values. Okay, we have 5 minutes left. I know you have lots and lots you want to say. I'm going to send my slide deck to Micah. So if you want it, you can have it because we didn't read everything and there's good juicy bits in there for you. And now we're going to just take all the hands, whatever you have to say, and maybe we'll get to respond to it. So Aviva and Yehuda, you'll go first, and then Lisa, then Doreen.
The problem that I've had with AI all along is that, and it's the thing that we count on the most for proper relationships between people, is empathy.
Mm,
AI has no empathy. And it's something we are so reliant on in trusting
mm,
our interactions with people that without it, it's not to be trusted at all. And therefore, I tend to avoid doing things with AI because I know that it's funny. I've seen it over and over again. I'm also aware We actually have a neighbor who worked for Google for a while as an AI story interpreter, and to tell the story of AI to move it forward. And she also recommended Claude of all the all the different various different AI generators. And I'll just leave it at that because empathy is my problem with it. No empathy at all. It is not. It doesn't have the capacity. It's not there, and there's going to be no way for them to even build it in.
Thank you, Uda. Lisa, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm wondering and I don't know a lot about AI, so this is from an older person not using it. But it seems to me that it gave you the answers it knew you would like. So anybody else asking the same question would get a completely different answer. Like perhaps if Donald Trump asked those questions, he'd get completely different answers. Is that correct?
Yes, and right. So, certain users have they're going to get probably pretty much the same information, but the framing is going to be different, right? So like I don't know why the AI thinks I like to be so complimented. Like I didn't tell it that and I actually don't like it, but it keeps doing it and it's like kind of adorable. And I like to like it makes me laugh more than it makes me feel good. But somebody else might train their AI to be snarky and obnoxious, right? And so the framing will be different.
Okay.
I once made pancakes for a friend of mine who's vegan, and I asked the AI to give me like the best vegan pancake recipe yet and include vegan jokes. It did. Like, it doesn't generally give me jokes to make fun of vegans, right? But like I asked for it. So should I not have told you that? Maybe I shouldn't have told you that. But so I think that the information is going to stay fairly consistent, or we could do this exercise, right? Go to your AI and say, I'm teaching a class on how AI can be hopeful. Like you can ask it the question and see what comes up and if it's radically different. I don't think it'll be radically different. It might be subtly different, but not hugely different, right? That's the way like the models are centering because we're getting same kinds of information across platforms. Doreen.
I'm sorry that I missed most of the class on a call with a court in a county. Micah can explain that if you would like to know. But I was listening to a podcast early this morning, and the podcaster was talking about an AI speech that the guy from Newfoundland gave the other day, and you could tell it was AI, blah, blah, blah. But the point he made was everything that I'm going to say as a human, a live human here, is disseminated through my experience and what I've learned and how I've changed and my new thought patterns. And if we're not careful to constantly feed AI, it will only know what AI knows. And my concern is that it's going to be so easy for people to use that they'll rely on it, but we've got to constantly feed it with new ideas and new perceptions and new breakthroughs so that it can stay more helpful.
I love that. Yeah. I took a class on how to use AI as a rabbi, and the best takeaway that I got from it was think with it. Right. And so when I sit down to do big classes or whatnot, like I will regularly sit there and be like, here's what I'm teaching, here's what I'm thinking, right? Not write it for me. Here's what I'm thinking about. Here's what I want to put together. What would you add in? Right. And it's like getting to talk to an expert. And I find that very helpful. And I think in that way, I'm trying to be intentional to not just, it's not a Pez dispenser, right? I'm not just like hitting the lever and getting stuff out. We're trying to interact with each other. And I'm trying to use it as an agent as opposed to just a tool. All right, we are so out of time, and I know we could go for hours, and we could do a weekend on this one. Like it's so juicy, and it's wonderful to see everyone. But we're going to stop here. I will send my slides to Micah, and for those of you who asked for them, he will send them out to you. And I'm happy to share. And if you are nerding out about this and you want to send me, or you're freaking out about this, or you're whatever, and you want to send me an email and continue the conversation, please do. Know that it's the high holy days. Also, I'm moving houses and just starting a new job. So it might take me a little bit to get back to you, setting reasonable expectations, but I'm happy to talk. Okay, I think that's everything. It's 12:31. We have to go on with our lives. Micah, thank you so much. Everyone,
Thank,
thank you so much.
Thank you to Rabbi Rachel Bregman for this. Very interesting and a lot to think about, and truly interesting for this high holiday season as we think about, what is it to be fully human? What is it to use our powers for good and our tools for good versus for evil, right? If AI is a tool, then it reflects what society is creating. Next week's topic is we're back at this, as I said, this same time with Rabbi Emily Lozman Ostrov. The topic is for the beginning of Elul, Ve'ahavta, loving others and loving ourselves in this season of forgiveness. So that's next week, same time, same place. You'll receive an email Thursday morning. I also mentioned this in the chat that we are committed to Tikva Through Text staying free and open to all. If you appreciate this programming, please consider making a donation. I just put a link into the chat, either a one-time donation or becoming a monthly donor, as some of you already are, even as little as $5 a month, $10 a month, to help support this program throughout the year so that we can keep it totally free and open to everyone just as it is. I'll wish you all an early Shabbat Shalom, as Shabbat is coming a little over 24 hours from now. And may we all use our human intelligence versus artificial intelligence to try to make the world a little bit better place in the coming week. See you all next week, everybody. Take care.